Hey everybody, welcome back to Airsoftology Mondays, the show that answers your questions, helps you out in a pinch, and also is on the road for NorCal coming up soon. I'm your host, Jonathan Higgs. That's right, in 2 weeks from this video, if you guys are watching it right when it comes out, at the very end of July 2016, I'm gonna get the exact date for you guys. It is the 30th and 31st. I will be at Game Pod in Northern California. It's Antioch, California, just outside of the San Francisco area, for a huge game with Airsoft GI doing their BB Wars series. It's actually BB Wars Origins Airsoftology. I'd love to meet you all, everybody there. Please come out and hang out. If you guys are in the area, I would love to see you. It's a 2-day event. You can buy tickets for either day or for the whole weekend. And of course, I'll have a link in the description below to take you over to the GI link to pick those up. Also, before we get into questions, last week I started back doing little mini reviews, and I appreciate you guys giving me all this great feedback. Probably the biggest question I got about this pistol, I showed it in the mini review. I was talking about a different suppressor than the one I have on here. This is the tracer unit from ASG. But you guys asked about what the grips were here on the CZP09. So you guys asked what pistol was. The CZP09 by ASG, and you were asking about these grips. These are the Talon grips. They're actually an add-on. You get them in two different textures. This one is kind of like sandpaper, and there's one that's kind of like a rubbery texture as well. You can get these from talongungrips.com, and they're like $17.99. Now, I'm not sponsored by them. They're not paying to be on here, but a lot of you guys ask. I have these on a couple of my guns. I think they look the best on your tan guns to get that two-tone contrast, because they only come in like this gray or the black for the rubber ones, but I love it. If you guys are looking, definitely get the smaller of the two grips for the CZ. It comes in two sizes, one for the larger back strap, one for the smaller. I bought the larger one, had to do a little modding to get it to fit, but the smaller one should fit just fine. Super cool, great way to customize. They even make them for like M4 grips, AUG grips, tons of other stuff, and just about every pistol out there. So yeah, if you guys are interested, like I said, I have this one. I have one for my FNX 45 too. I just think they look cool and they feel really good in your hands, like just grip tape on a skateboard. So enough of this super small mini review, and now it's time for your favorite part, or at least I hope it's your favorite part, and that's your questions in the Palco mail call. Josh the AK Man, aka Stitches, asks, hey Jonathan, I was wondering if you owned any gas blowback rifles, and if you do, what are the basics I would need to know before getting one? So yeah, gas blowback rifles, I could do an entire show about GBBRs. There's a lot of companies out there, GHK, you can get WE, there's KWA, there's a lot of different brands. I will give you some, I guess, words of wisdom from someone who's owned a few. I've owned a KWA one, I've owned a Viper Tech, I've owned a couple different ones at WE in the past. So all those, a little bit of experience that I have in the area, they are maintenance heavy. So like when you're looking at an airsoft gun, you're looking at grabbing something that you're gonna put a battery in, it's charged up, go out and use it and have a pretty darn good time. And 99% of the time you're gonna feel good about that gun working. Gas blowback rifles are very different. They do require maintenance and cleaning after every single use, after or before. So think of it like a real firearm. They do require some of that work. So taking it apart, the bolt, assembly, cleaning it, lubing it. It's not like super crazy, but it does take some work. Also, what I found with gas blowback rifles, in my experience, this is one of the few times I will tell you, definitely want to go propane versus green gas when you get those, simply because the magazines are so big, they hold so much gas, and it requires so much gas to operate. It's a huge bolt, it has to cycle way back, it's a lot of weight. It works pretty much like a real firearm does. The challenge there is you're putting a lot of silicone oil that's mixed in that green gas into your system, and you can really have some performance issues with your bucking and the barrel and that gumming up. So I've found if you do maintain them every single use, and you also mix that with propane, which is a pretty cost-effective way to go, then you're in a good spot. That's just me. Make sure you're lubing your mags, make sure you're properly lubing your bolt assembly, your bolt carrier, all that, everything in there, and keeping the lube away from your bucking. I found that just there's so much lube in there, it just causes performance issues. And remember too, when you're getting a gas blowback rifle, less rounds per mag than even a mid-cap in a comparative rifle. Mags weigh a whole lot more, everything's a lot more expensive, and be prepared for more maintenance parts. Some brands are better than others with maintenance and parts availability and reliability, things like that. I've also found that the AKs are a more reliable platform, in my opinion, than the M4 platform. Just a little bit of information. I could go into this for literally hours with you, but I just want to give you some feedback. If you guys are thinking about picking up a gas blowback rifle, I will tell you this, every one I've bought, I've sold, if that says anything. I've kept my HPA guns, I kept the Systema for a long time, I have tons of AGs, but I never seem to really keep a gas blowback rifle, and there's probably a reason for that. Gas blowback submachine guns like the UMP45, I do have those. I still keep that, but yeah, so just kind of take that with a grain of salt, and if you want to get into it, just be prepared for a little maintenance. Red Kai writes, hey Jonathan, are you ever planning on coming over the pond to the UK to play airsoft against us Brits? Love the show. Actually, it's funny, I was just talking to some people about this, and Amy, who actually helps out with the show, my wife Amy, does actually some of the editing on the show too, not Mondays, but on the reviews. We've been discussing a European or just solely UK tour, doing that, or doing a combo of both. So yeah, actually it's kind of in the early stages of the works, and I definitely want to try to do it maybe this year, maybe early next year. I don't know, I got to kind of talk to everybody over there. I've got some friends, Matt the Musketeer is heading over here for Copperhead. I'm gonna have a little chat with him and see when the best time to go play is, see if we can start making some coordination, some plans to head over. But the short answer is yes, the European and definitely a UK tour is in the works. Farrell Farrer writes, hey John, I'm getting braces next week and I'm concerned that it will affect my airsoft life. How do I make it work? Super simple one, and probably something you should be doing already if you're not already. Definitely wear some sort of full face protection. So if you're doing goggles, put a lower mesh mask on. Otherwise, I would definitely run a full face mask. Dye masks are great. Some of the Vulcan masks out there are fantastic. There's a lot of great masks out on the market. I do the combo. I do goggles, and then I'll do a mesh lower face mask. I'm a big fan of the bitter end lower mesh masks. They sent me one years ago. I'm talking like back in the podcast days, back in 2009, 2010, 2009 I think is when it came out. They sent me a set to where I used it for years. I got it stolen at SC Village. Savages, man. But I ended up buying 2 new ones to replace it. So I actually purchased them. I liked it so much that I invested in getting replacements for it. I actually, before I bought new ones, I bought a couple of those just regular mesh ones you can pick up at any shop. And they're okay. They have their issues, the way they work. But I will say this. I mean, this isn't an ad for Bitter End. I don't get paid by them or by any stretch of the imagination. Fantastic mesh masks for a lot of reasons. In fact, if you want to go back, I think the videos on the channel, you can check out my mini review way back in the podcast days. But that said, lower mesh mask is going to be the way to go. You want to protect those braces. I mean, obviously, you want to protect your teeth no matter what. You don't want them shot out. I always wear some sort of lower face protection, and if I don't, I'll at least put mouth guards in. It's something you're not going to be able to do with braces. So definitely a mesh mask on all the time. That's very expensive dental work. You don't want to have that re-put back on. We're talking hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of repairs to your mouth area. So yeah, anyway, mesh mask should be totally good to go. Prestige Tiger writes, what's your opinion on paintball BBs? They suck. I mean, pretty much that's it. There's not much to say about them. They're terrible. They are the worst thing. And it's not just because they mark up your gear and people may get upset. Same goes for chalk little BBs too, the marking rounds. I think Game Face had some in the back, not to name names or whatever, but yeah. They're bad for a lot of reasons. They're terribly inaccurate. They will gum up. They break like in paintball in your barrel. Airsoft has hop up and all different loading mechanism. They can break in your magazine because they're really under tension. Magazine springs aren't designed to work with little BBs that'll rupture like paint. And then the chalk ones were even worse because they just gummed up, especially using a gas blowback pistol or rifle. Oh my gosh, they got that chalk in there mixed with like the silicone, and the green gas was just like turned it to gum. So yeah, both of those, I'm just gonna go ahead and lump the chalk BBs in there too. Terrible idea. I wouldn't do it. Now, if you have like a Springer, sure, if you want to try some out, get them, give it a shot. But for a professional level AEG, like anything from like your combat machines all the way up to the top end VFC or something like that, I would stay far, far away from them. All right, guys, that is it for questions this week, which means it is time for the Code Red Headsets video recommendation of the week. Again, every time I hear that, I say that, I feel like I should have like trumpets playing. I don't know, like an intro song. Anyway, this week it is Brazilian Special Operations Rio 2016. This is a pretty neat video looking into what Brazil has to offer, their Spec Ops teams surrounding the Olympics coming up here in 2016. So it's with all the hype of the Olympics getting ready to happen, where I think we're less than a month away on that. It's very much around the corner. having good security for all those nations in there is important, especially in the world of global terror we live in. So this is a really cool video to watch. It's just about 7 minutes long. It's from one of my personal favorite channels. Like, I wish they would put out more videos though more often. It's called MHS Productions. I've highlighted them on a few other videos in the past. So if this one doesn't tickle your fancy, you definitely should check out some of the other stuff on their channel. They've got some really good ones from special ops units all around the world. So yeah, when you get a chance, check it out. Of course, you can click the video over here or the link is in the description below. Well guys, that's it for the show this week. As always, thank you for coming and hanging out and asking some fantastic questions. And if you want to get your question in the show, it's super simple. Put it in the comment section below, vote up your favorites, and they will get on the show. And be persistent. I can only get so many questions on each week, but I do read each and every one every single week. Also, don't forget, patches are back in the store. The Call Your Hits patch is back in. Check that one out. Also, guys, don't forget, GamePod game coming up here at the end of the month, 31st with Airsoft GI. And by the way, for all of you that were High Ground Airsoft this last week, I had a chance to meet you. And for all of you at Fox Airsoft Field 2 weeks ago, thank you so much for coming out and hanging out and meeting me in person, me getting a chance to meet you guys. That is actually probably the most enjoyable part of what I do on YouTube, is getting a chance to hang out and meet and talk to every single one of you, and answer your questions in person, and just communicate two ways. Because I mean, let's face it, I talk to a camera. This is a camera right here I'm chatting with every day, but to get to see you guys in person is so much fun. Well guys, that is truly it this week. And until next week, go out, play some airsoft, have some fun. But no matter what you do, call your freaking hits.